This is Let Your Voice Be Heard, right here on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
Around, we are back on Let Your Voice Be Heard on 90.3 FM, WHCR, the voice of Harlem. Happy belated birthday to Selena Hill, who just turned 21 plus 10 the other day.
And more than that.
Selena, as we all know, had her birthday, and 80% of the show was too sick and dying and also traveling to her birthday party. And if you guys don't know Selena, you guys should know Selena always has the most amazing birthday parties.
All right, Stanley.
Last year, she had a birthday party at the Cove Lounge.
Where Stanley fell asleep.
I was sick, and I was also tired.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I wasn't moving. But Selena had people giving speeches. She didn't ask them to give speeches. Yes, she did. But they went and they gave speeches anyway because they loved her. And then the birthday before that, when was the birthday? You had some spot right on top of Red Rooster. I think that was my favorite one.
Stanley, so that never happened.
No, it did. It was like the upstairs thing. Oh, it wasn't Red Rooster. It was next door to Red Rooster. That spot. I forgot the name of it.
Oh, yes, I remember that Chaz Lucien. I can barely pronounce it.
Yes, Chaz Lucien, yes.
It's no longer called it. But thank you so much for the belated birthday wishes. Yes, guys, I am back. I did take off last Sunday, but here I am, Selena Hill, and on Instagram and Twitter, you can find me at Miss Selena Hill. I'm super happy to be back. Not super happy about turning another age. I'm past that. Like, I still look 25, so I'm going to just go with that.
Almost, definitely.
Yeah. So I was just like, you
Selena,
guys don't even need to know.
Come on, you're aging like good do say. It just gets better.
I appreciate the compliments. So Stanley's here, Evan's here. How you guys feeling?
I'm good.
Are you feeling good, Evan?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be here.
I'm tired of Selena's birthday pictures popping up in my group chats like, yo, hook me up.
I still haven't seen them. Like I said, she's leaving us in suspense.
I'm going to be dropping the pictures soon.
She had one picture. My boy was like, yo, that's your homegirl, right? I'm like, yeah, it's not going to be your homegirl. No. So no more pictures.
He already knew where that was going.
All right, bro. But yeah, we have a great show. Stanley, hold on. Did you introduce yourself? Or you just been too busy talking about me and the birthday party you didn't make it?
We always start Let's Not Be Trash.
I haven't been this excited to celebrate somebody's birthday since I found out that Julia Roberts almost played Harriet Tubman.
Oh my God.
I can't help it. But this is Stanley Fritz.
We gotta discuss that.
You can find me on the Twitter at Stan Fritz, on the IG at Stan Fritz. You can find me on the Snapchat that I don't use at Darkskin Swindle. Do you know why it's Stan Fritz everywhere else? Because Selena told me to and I listened because she's the birthday girl.
All right. And Evan, how can people find and follow you?
People can find me on Instagram at _Mastronardi, and of course also at letsnotbetrash.com with my co-thoughtful thoughty, Stan Fritz.
Thank you, King.
Great. Yeah, so we have a great show lined up. A lot of news roundup stories to talk about. Stanley already mentioned Julia Roberts talking about Harriet Tubman. We'll go into that. We'll also then we'll have a larger segment about the freedom dividend, also known as universal basic income. This is basically Andrew Yang's way of saying, I want to give everyone $1,000 a month. And we're going to talk about what that really means and, the history behind universal basic income. So I'm super happy about that. We had another Democratic debate. I stayed up and watched SNL last night. So there's a lot definitely to be talking about. Evan, are you excited about anything in particular?
I'm excited to talk trash about Julia Roberts being Harriet Tubman because
you don't think she would have did a good job?
No, I
with
couldn't. There's so many levels to that. But yeah, universal basic income. Haven't discussed that on the show in a while. I know we got a good lineup.
Is that how she would have sounded, Stanley?
You already know that's how she would have sounded. Dropped mad N-bombs.
Right.
And won an Oscar for it, too.
Yeah. Definitely. Right. She definitely would have won an Oscar for that. But hold on. So we'll talk more about that later. Guys, if you want to let your voice be heard, you can hit us up on Facebook.com. If you happen to be watching now, leave those comments, Facebook.com/letyourvoicebeheard. You can also tweet us at BeHeard_radio. If you're listening live, call us up at 212-650-6903. And for those in the podcast world, we appreciate you. Please share a link on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. Let your friends know, and we appreciate it. On that note, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're talking about all the stories that made us laugh and cry during the past week.
We are back on Let Your Voice Be Heard on 90.3 FM WHCR, the voice of Harlem. If you're just tuning in, this is Stanley Fritz. I'm here with Selena Hill, Evan Mastronardi, and of course, Fire Mariah.
Oh, I like that. Fire Mariah.
Yeah, man. So I can't get credit for this nickname. Actually, one of our listeners, Molly, suggested it.
Oh, really?
I was like,
That's a good one. I like that.
Fire Mariah. You like that, Mariah? Ooh, Mariah gave it her cosign. We're in business, y'all. So, if you're just tuning in, guys, listen up. This is the news roundup where we talk about things that made you laugh, cry, curse, flip a table, or just scratch your head in confusion. And if you're like me, you have been living a regular life, so you don't have time to be following the impeachment process every single day. But if you're like me, you have no life, so you've been following it. And so for those of you who have not had time to follow it, I have an update for you guys about all the things that are happening. So, what you should know, right now, Donald Trump is not being impeached yet. They have been having impeachment hearings. And in this week, pretty much everyone on his foreign policy team representing Ukraine has come up to congressional hearings for impeachment and snitched on Donald Trump and said that not only did he withhold money from Ukraine until they would promise to announce an investigation to Joe Biden, but that he also communicated it to other people. It wasn't just communicated through third parties. He was actually saying it. And multiple people said it. And apparently Mike Pence knew about it. And the Secretary of War knew about it. And a congressional member, David Nunes, knew about it. They all knew about it. So right now, we've reached the last stage of those investigations, and it's getting ready to go up to Senate. So Republican senators and White House senior officials pretty much try to have a secret meeting to figure out how they're going to play this, because if Congress votes for impeachment, it's going to be an overwhelming yes, which means it'll all have to go up to the Senate. With all the evidence we have right now, it shows that not only did Donald Trump try to get an investigation into a political enemy by using foreign support, but that he also committed a crime. Like, through any legal basis, it's clear that he committed a crime now. So now Republicans are trying to figure out how do they defend this, because in Congress, they're trying to defend it, but every time they try to say something, one of the people they brought up to the defense table accidentally dry snitches on them. A great example of that is Devin Nunes. He's a congressman from California who really supports Trump. He, one of the Republican lawyers asked the person sitting on the stand, they said, well, isn't it true that you didn't talk to this person before? Right? And it was supposed to be a very easy question where the answer was, I've never talked to them, it's fine. Well, the person on the stand said, well, actually, I did talk to this person, and we had an argument because I didn't understand why he wasn't giving me information on what he was doing during this time with Ukraine. What he was doing was helping to pressure Ukraine to launch a fake investigation to Joe Biden. And what he said to her was, I don't know who else I have to talk to. I talked to Mike Pence. I talked to Donald Trump. I talked to Mike Pompeo. Why do I have to talk to you now? Which pretty much implicated all of those people. Devin Nunes started coughing on the mic to try to stop her from finishing her sentence. So that's where we are right now. So barring any unexpected witnesses coming forward, the House Intelligence Committee will draft a report for the Judiciary Committee, which lays out the case for impeachment and explains how to proceed. And the Judiciary Committee will ultimately decide whether to draft articles of impeachment to send to the House floor. We're pretty sure that this is going to happen. But Republican staffers will write a separate report of their own, which may or may not be the name Alexandra Chalupa scrolled over and over on a legal pad. Because pretty much the way Republicans are looking at it now, they can't prove, like, it's very obvious that Trump did something wrong, so what they've just been doing is yelling how things are being done improperly. So they might just make a whole report just saying that Adam Schiff, who is chairing the impeachment proceedings, is a liar and he's trash. And that's where we are right now.
Well, I'll say this. At some point during the middle of the hearing, Donald Trump literally held an impromptu press conference where he read a script.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah, and he was like, hold on, I wrote notes about what Sandalin
he
just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was like, oh, he basically said, what do you want? And then Trump said, I told him, I don't want nothing. I don't want nothing. Like, it was so bizarre.
He wrote a memo with a Sharpie, and it's not the first time he's done that.
Did he admit that too?
He used the Sharpie once to show where that hurricane was supposed to go in his mind, even though it didn't actually go there. So he's done this before. It was hilarious. That's going to be a new meme.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if he's trying to make himself look less guilty, but it didn't work.
He's all about distractions. He's all about smoke and mirrors. That's what this man does.
And then at one point he was like, hold on, get this, got the cameras rolling? I'm like, does he still think he's a reality star? Does he think that he's filming this?
Have you ever seen the juxtaposition between when Donald Trump got that Al-Qaeda leader and when Obama gave the press conference of killing bin Laden, and it was like side by side?
Yes.
That had me rolling. And nothing encapsulates the two and how much he breaks the norms of like decorum better than that.
Oh, yeah.
So, Selena, do you think that Trump will actually be impeached?
Yeah,
it gets fuzzy right there, don't it?
It does. I think that I don't know, because I don't know if the Senate is going to actually allow the impeachment to go that far. Yeah. I think in the House, absolutely. They'll push for it, and they're going to continue to push for it. But I feel like some Democrats even feel a little divided about it. They say, let's not focus on this. Let's focus on defeating him in 2020. That's the best way to get him out the White House.
No.
Yeah, but now it's very, very well documented that he's committed multiple crimes. Can you even still keep that talking point?
Yeah,
Evan?
I think so. He'll get impeached, but he won't get removed from office.
Right.
That's what I think. Because the impeachment just means, like you said, it's going to go to the Senate. The Senate's majority Republican. I don't believe they have enough backbone. And I also don't believe enough Democrats have enough backbone. I agree. I think too many Democrats, we're going to look back at this time and see what people did. And they're going to be on the wrong side of history because they're going to be thinking about their campaigns.
Yep.
When this man clearly committed treason.
Yep.
And that's what we'll remember. And it's unfortunate that they're playing to that. They're playing to their votes. Let's face it, they're really playing to a white working class. Mm-hmm. That's who they're playing to because they think this doesn't roll with them enough for them to get votes and enough for even Democrats to win in 2020. And I think that's not. This is a special circumstance that needs to be acknowledged. You can't just bypass treason.
Well, I have a question for all those watching via Facebook Live now. Do you think Trump will get impeached and removed from office? Do you think that Democrats should be putting all of this effort and energy behind this? Or do you think that we should just focus on the election in 2020? Let us know if you're listening right now on Facebook Live.
Or you can call us at 212-650-6903. Again, that's 212-650-6903. So I want to jump gears a little bit and talk about something that's a little old, but Selena, I didn't have a chance to get any of your feedback on there. Did you hear what President Obama was saying? Yeah. He said most people are to the middle. They don't want to move that far left. And the further left we go, the more likely it'll be that Donald Trump will win the presidency. Mm-hmm. What did you think about that?
To me, this is classic Obama. I mean, as you guys discussed last week on Let Your Voice Be Heard, he's very he's a pragmatist.
Yeah.
He's more conservative than my liking. He's a moderate. He's a centrist. I mean, what did you expect? I mean, I feel like the Obama of 2008 would not appeal to a lot of us progressives in 2019 because he's too centrist and he's always been about working with the other side and bringing people together. I'm not surprised. And what he basically said is, there are good people. I mean, he said good people on both sides, but he said that sometimes good people do things that you may not agree with, and sometimes people that you really don't like, they still love their children. So I understand where he's coming from. Do I necessarily agree with that ideology? No, but I get it, and I'm not going to beat the man up. He's a baby boomer. He's an older, more conservative black man. He reminds me of my mom and my aunties. That's how they talk.
But he's not a boomer. He's a Gen Xer. But
no, he's not.
No, he is, yeah. Gen
how
X
old is he?
He's 50.
Yeah,
he's Gen X.
On the cusp. He's on the cusp.
He's older than 50.
He's 51. He's no older than 53 years old.
Yeah,
I thought he was in his mid-50s.
He's an early baby
Gen
boomer.
X boomers are the ones who fought in World War II.
Well, the generation span's actually 20 years.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so the oldest baby boomers are about what, 66, 70?
No, 80 now.
No, that's the silent generation.
That's the silent generation?
Yeah, it's not
the racist generation. All right.
Well, I mean, call it what you want.
Yeah, they said the N-word with the hard ER, but silently.
That's what I'm saying. When they go, which is the quote-unquote greatest generation? Which one is that?
Millennials?
No. There's a generation that's called the greatest generation. But they were also extremely racist, so I never understood. Anyway, I'm just going along with what you're saying. But I agree with you, Selena. Obama's always been a pragmatist. We shouldn't be surprised. And also, look, we can't act like 2008 is 2019.
Yeah.
In 2008, there's a lot of things we didn't know were possible politically. Hell, a lot of people didn't think Donald, as messed up as America is, a lot of people didn't think Donald Trump could be president in 2008. And look where we are now. A lot of people, go on.
No, I was just going to reference a comment I got from Shirley Walker talking about whether Trump committed treason, and she said, "Let Mr. Obama do half of what Trump has done, and not see what they would do. They would have lynched
exactly.
him."
Oh, forget it. It's a complete double standard. But he's a pragmatist, and also Obama's coming from a place of, look, I got elected twice.
Yes.
I know what it's like to win
Yes,
as
he
a
does.
Democrat, 2-term president in the United States of America. I can't fault him for that.
Yeah.
I can't fault him for impressing his ideology about how to win and how to remove Donald Trump from office, which is really the priority here.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree that going too far left. Oh, I think we have a call.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think necessarily going too far left in 2019 is the same thing as it would have been in 2008. I think we've shown there's more success through certain policies. Like, look how popular Bernie Sanders is.
Absolutely.
Look how popular Elizabeth Warren, AOC. We've proven that certain policies that used to be like off the table can work now. But so I may not agree, but I completely understand where he's coming from.
Okay.
Well, we got a comment on the line, a caller from Harlem. His name is Hodgin. Hodgin, let your voice be heard.
Yeah, I think whatever goes down, whatever comes around, we should get rid of him once and for all. If it be to vote him out or if it be impeachment, we should just get rid of this guy once and for all because he's caused too much damage to the country already.
You know, and I agree with you. I definitely want to get him out the White House, but which one is more feasible? Like, do you think he'll be elected out? Are you confident, or are you confident that he'll be impeached?
I'm confident that he'll be elected out. I'm confident in that. You know, I think he's embarrassed even the people that support him. I think he's an embarrassment to them. And the people are falling like flies by the wayside. And if people can't see this, you know, it's up to us. You know, it's up to the public. It's up to the masses to record this stuff and watch it carefully and make a decision based on that. I think we can get him out.
You know, I agree with you, but again, I feel like in middle America, I don't think Trump is not losing his base. He continues to pander to them. He continues to use racist rhetoric. He continues to just fan the flames of white supremacy. His base is growing, and they are standing strong. I love your confidence and optimism. I don't share that.
It's true, but he did win only by, I believe, 70,000 votes. In total. No, Hillary Clinton got the popular vote by
Absolutely.
like 3 million.
Yeah.
But it was 70,000 votes that let him win electorally.
Yes.
So does he have those? Because everything needs to go right for him electorally again for him to win.
Or the cheating has to be effective.
Or the cheating has to be effective, and Russia can do an even better job. Ukraine can even do a better job hacking our elections.
Yeah,
so
man.
I'm not too confident he's going to win, but I do think that if he loses that, and if we are able to mitigate, you know, cheating as much as possible, I think without cheating, he's going to have a hard time gaining re-election.
Yeah.
So we actually have a comment coming in on Facebook Live back to Obama's remarks. Avant Drummer says, Obama's remarks revealed the government ain't going to help readdress the income inequality that he helped create. Woo! That's a loaded one.
And Doreen King, she said the scary thing is Pence is worse.
Ooh.
He needs to go too. So if folks are not happy with the Obama's legacy in hindsight, folks definitely don't want Trump. I think he has a better chance of winning than he does of losing, because there's a lot of Republican control in a bunch of states, and they are actively working to reduce voter turnout in black and brown communities and poor communities. Look at what he did in Florida. They found, while they were doing the recounts for Andrew Gillum, they found votes for Al Gore in a closet in a school. Yes.
Stanley!
Yes. Yes, they found absentee ballots for Al Gore. Yes, in Florida. That's what happened last year. These Republicans will do anything they can to win these elections.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, man. So, well, I'm nervous. And, you know, I want to shout out to Claude LaRoche and Avant Drummer and Terrence Kofi and all the other people watching. And I want to hear from you guys, too, if you think that we have a chance to actually defeat Trump. Now, we had some big news for you. As you know, last night, well, why am I forgetting her name? Ruth Bader Ginsburg was hospitalized. She's not in good shape. Folks are getting really nervous. Lynn, did you hear about this?
Oh, Lord, yes. Now, she's definitely someone in a silent generation. She's about, what, 90?
Yeah, about, I think so, 93.
I mean, I have so much anxiety. I mean, we already lost 2 seats on the Supreme Court, which have turned, well, one was already conservative, and then they replaced Anthony Scalia when he passed away. Right, and then we had someone else that was elected as well.
Yeah. Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh.
So if we have a third Supreme Court justice that is lost under the Trump era, that's going to be disastrous. What do you think, Evan?
I agree. I think that, Look, I had many qualms with Hillary Clinton running, but one thing that was overlooked, and a lot of people don't see the power of the presidency. It's granted that Congress has a lot of power. The president doesn't have supreme powers. A lot of things the president can't do. But if anything shows you the difference between candidates, it's this. It's who can be nominated to the Supreme Court and create a legal legacy in this country for a while, and that would have been different if Trump wasn't president.
Speaking of presidency, Sarah Dowling from the UK said, here in the UK, we have Boris Johnson as prime minister, who took over from Theresa May. In all honesty, there is not a single prime minister or president that actually has the people's interest at heart who are living in poverty. They are all only out to line their own pockets. Is that like how you feel too, Selena? What's going on with this?
I mean, I agree. I think that, politics is a dirty game. I think it's all about money. And speaking about money and politics, I want to announce before we go on break that Mayor Mike Bloomberg has officially announced his candidacy in the 2020
Seriously?
election. This man is worth,
happen.
speaking about money and politics, he is worth $55 billion with a B. He is running for president. He said that he is not going to take political donations, nor would he take a salary if he won the White House.
Because he can fund his own election.
Right, because he could fund his own. But I mean, Stanley. We're talking money and politics. How do you feel about Mayor Bloomberg?
Mayor Bloomberg once said with the chief of police that he wants to put the fear in the hearts of Black and Puerto Rican kids in Brooklyn. We can't curse here, but F Mayor Bloomberg. Like, there's no universe where I will support this white supremacist who helped accelerate gentrification, who helped reduce affordable housing in New York City, who tried to turn every part of New York City into a kiosk for rich people, who does not care about poor people, who helped to accelerate people getting evicted from their homes. No. Who used his money to get a third term as mayor and then immediately changed the law again so that no one else could run for a third term. No. Not at all. Do not support him.
Well, Evan, he recently apologized for stop and frisk.
Oh my! Yeah.
He did.
But it's the most empty, obviously timed apology I've ever. I mean, he clearly did it right before he was going to win. I'm sorry, right before he was going to run. So there's no. It's not a genuine apology. It's clearly a political apology. Like. That is not, 2 weeks before he's announcing that he's going to run? Is it just now he realized it? It just now, 2 weeks before he's going to run, he realized the detrimental effects of Black and brown people in New York City that were caused by the NYPD? It took him that long? No. I don't accept that at all.
Hey, look. He makes the 18th candidate now in the 2020 race running in the primary?
And he's a Republican, for the record.
He's on record as Republican. I thought he was independent.
No, he's a Republican who just registers as a Democrat.
He's changed like 3 times.
Yeah.
But he's like a New York City type Republican.
They're still all racist. It doesn't you're from New York City, you don't like Black people, but you won't say kill all Black people. Congratulations.
Well, on that note, we do have to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, guys. When we come back, we're talking about Andrew Yang's freedom dividend and universal basic income. Is it time for us all to be getting $1,000 from the government? This is Let Your Voice Be Heard.
Go ahead, Selena Hill.
Is that the intro you're giving me?
I thought you were going to say something. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Wow, okay.
All right, hold on. Hey. Hold on. You want to hear what you're hearing? Selena Hill about to do an intro on money. And she is talking about universal basic income. I don't got no money, so I would like me some. Hey.
Thank you. All right, guys. So we are back. This is Let Your Voice Be Heard right here on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Well, also one of your favorite political podcasts. You can follow us anywhere that you get your podcast. So we're talking about free money. Why? That's because Andrew Yang says if he becomes president, the government will send every American adult 18 and older a check for $1,000 per month, no strings attached. So you wouldn't get less money if you score a higher paying job. And if you're already getting housing assistance or food stamps, you can choose between your current setup or switching over to Yang's freedom dividend, which is what he calls it. So on his website, he calls it, and I quote, a foundation on which a stable, prosperous, and just society can be built. while the name he's using, freedom dividend, is new, this concept actually is quite old. There are numerous versions of it around the world. Back in the 1960s, both liberals and conservatives came together and they were pushing what was then called the negative income tax, where instead of paying taxes, individuals and couples' income who had that was below a predetermined level, they would receive a cash payout from the Treasury Department. Now, the amount would be reduced as income rose and eventually be phased out once an individual's income rises to a certain level. So that's what they were pushing back in the 60s. In the 60s, Dr. Martin Luther King, he was also a champion of universal basic income. Andrew Yang's is a little different. What he would be saying is you would get $1,000 in the mail every month indefinitely until you expire. So, I want to dig deep into this. This is the platform, in simple terms, it sounds good. But Stanley, is this something that you're actually advocating and standing behind?
So universal basic income, and separate and apart from what Andrew Yang is trying to do, I am 100% in favor of. We should absolutely do that. I have some issues with Andrew Yang's problem. The first being is the way he want to pay for this is by getting rid of food stamps, housing vouchers, and health care so that people can get $1,000 a month, which is good, but people still need health care. People still need housing. The cost of housing in the United States is still way too high, and the cost of health insurance is exorbitantly high. So you'd be giving people a couple of extra dollars in their pockets, but after you account for all the money they got to spend on health insurance and on housing, they're at a net negative all over again.
Evan, where do you stand?
I agree with that. I also, if there's no stipulations for this based on income, it means people who have money are getting this $1,000 too.
Yep.
So why not take that money and then do put a cap on it and then allow people to keep both their food stamps, and assistance and get that $1,000? Because I don't think people of, wealthy means or who don't need that $1,000 should be getting it. I would rather that money go to people who can keep both.
Well, the same argument is made about those, candidates who are advocating for Medicare for all and free college tuition.
Yeah.
The wealthy would be entitled to that as well. You can't have Medicare for all and free college tuition and then say, oh, but I'm sorry, you make too much money. So it's either all or nothing.
No, that's different. I feel like $1,000 check in the mail.
But no. But does a wealthy person who went to prep school, do they need to benefit from free college even if they have all the money in the world?
No, but I'm fine with that.
So you're fine with that, but not the $1,000 check?
I think $1,000 check in the mail, if it means the difference between somebody actually not taking current public assistance, like Stanley said, it'll basically break even with some people. So I would rather there be more stipulations to be allowed to fund those people who really need it and they can get both.
Well, okay, so basically I want to actually jump into universal basic income, especially the iteration that Stanley was talking about just a little earlier, Stanley. Evan brought up some good points about some of the downsides. He's saying, well, the wealthy shouldn't benefit from this.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Why can't they? Everyone should have access to the universal basic income. You should. Now, some folks can choose to reject it and say no, they don't need it, which the wealthy person can do if they so choose to. But we should all have it because the basic premise would be that people should not need to be able to quote unquote produce something or have some kind of capitalistic value in order to have a right to the basic necessities for food, water, shelter.
But I'm saying under Andrew Yang's plan.
Under his plan specifically?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So you're saying that. You mentioned that some people will have to choose between $1,000 and between getting this assistance.
No, that's all they would get. Everything else would be cut off in Yang's plan.
They can't get both.
No, they'd be gone. They would use the funding that it costs to cover food stamps, Section 8, and all those things to pay for that.
So what I'm saying is, under his plan, because there's no stipulations and the wealthy would get that money too, if there was a limit, you may be able to fund someone like that receiving both because then you're saving money that would otherwise go to a rich person.
Yang's plan is not good, in my opinion.
No, I'm just saying.
So I wouldn't even try to play that game. But I think I know what you're saying.
If I'm going to work with Yang's plan, this is the way I think it should be changed.
Okay, well, Yang's plan is reductive, and it assumes that we're going to lose most of our jobs because automation is going to take over. And if that's the case, let's use someone like me. I make $78,000 a year right now, right? So that's how much I make. Automation takes over my job, and Andrew Yang goes, all right, Stanley, you get $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year. with no other benefits. My rent is $2,200. What am I doing with that? So like that's the inherent issue with Andrew Yang's problem. But they're doing that. They tested out universal basic income in some parts of America, and in Europe. But one place in particular where they got some results was in California. There was a small town in California where a black mayor decided to give vouchers of $500 to people. Thank you. I forgot the name. $500 a month to families. And so about 40% of the people who live in Stockton make less than $46,000 a year. And after about a year and a half of doing this, what they found was that people spent 40% of their universal basic income money on food. The rest of it was spent on like medical bills and getting repairs done or on school. So it's been pretty effective over there. And it really helped to rebuff a reputation saying that people, if you give universal basic income, poor people or people are going to waste it on just drugs and booze and frivolous things or whatever they believe to be frivolous.
Another thing that I've been hearing when it comes to pushback, people say that it will make people lazy, right? Right. So, I mean, because the thing is they're saying, oh, you get $1,000 a month. They become dependent on it and they feel like, they'll just do whatever they need to do to, get by when they really don't have to, try as hard because they know they have at least $1,000 coming in every month.
I don't get that argument because, look, people who need basic, necessities will use that money on it. I mean, that's not being lazy. If somebody really needs food, if they really need healthcare, if they really need to support their children, that's where this money will go. I just want to
jump in there for a little bit. In California, where they did it, as well as in Canada, where they did it in the 80s, they saw a 1% drop off from work productivity, and people use that extra time to take care of their kids, look for better jobs, or work on side projects. So, like, that was buffed as well.
So you're saying that it stimulates creativity and not laziness?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what the results say. We actually have to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We're going to come back and we're going to continue to talk about Andrew Yang's freedom dividend and universal basic income. Are you having a warm boy fall, Stanley?
I am. I'm chubby man winter.
Yeah, that's what it's called, chubby man winter.
Listen, man, y'all was acting all cute and fly during the summer. My girl right here getting cuddled up and trying to stay warm. I know what time it was.
It's not falling. We had fall for 3.5 days.
I know.
It is winter now.
Shout out to Trey Songz, who has played the long game, and it might be working out for him because he seems to be spending a lot of quality time with Meg Thee Stallion. And they look
Trey
very
Songz and Meg
comfortable.
Stallion.
Yeah, you've been traveling, so you missed it.
Stanley, but what about that guy she did the video with?
Moneybag Yo?
Yes.
Moneybag might be alone now. I don't know what's going on.
Wow, look at that. Okay, Stanley got all the tea. Speaking of that, we are back. We're actually talking about universal basic income. We talked about Andrew Yang's plan. He wants to put $1,000 in our pockets every single month until we expire. Stanley, how would this impact your life in your life in particular if you started getting $1,000 from the month guaranteed from the government?
$1,000 extra every month? I might just like put half of that to save. I could actually do that, and then I could maybe finally afford to pay my student loan bill every month without having to like eat potato chips until the next paycheck. That'd be really good. That'd be really, really helpful actually. That'd be something that would be a value add to my life for sure.
Evan, what would you do with $1,000?
Well, right now your boy unemployed. So an extra 1,000 would be very helpful. And in fact, I know this personally, the top unemployment check you get per week is not much. The most you can get isn't even after taxes $500 a week. And I have very good rent. Like when I tell people my rent, they do a double take. Living in the Bronx, utilities included. But even with that, I've been living paycheck to paycheck, even when I did have a job. So I would very much benefit from it. I would actually be able to save, like Stanley said. And if that was in place of unemployment, it would be, well, actually, I didn't know. Is he taking away unemployment too with that $1,000?
I'm not clear on that.
Because actually then that would be less than it on a monthly basis. But if that's in addition to it, then yeah, that'd be extremely helpful to unemployed people.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Stanley, so here's the thing. It sounds like you guys are both in favor of his plan, at least the fundamentals of it.
I'm not in favor of his plan.
Well, so break that down again. Because it takes away from other entitlements?
Yeah, so I'm in favor of universal basic income in general. Absolutely. I am not in favor of Andrew Yang's plan because Andrew Yang's plan does not do the work that we needed to do. Andrew Yang's plan assumes that automation is going to take over all the jobs, which it probably will. And because of that, you got to give people $1,000 a month to survive. But what kind of survival is that with only $12,000 a year when the cost of living is still much higher than that in every state, when the cost of food is still higher than that in every state? You're just gonna increase the income inequality to new levels.
Well, I mean, there was a point in Congress where this was actually going to move further under the Carter and the Nixon era. But Democrats, they said it's not enough money. They actually said we needed to give people more money on a monthly basis. To me, I look at it as like, this is a great starting point, right? $1,000, you're right, it is the bare minimum. And especially for people here in New York City, we would need more than that. But at least we have someone who's talking about a program that tries to bridge the gap between inequality. If you think about it, the way I see it is a lot of wealthy people and those who are privileged, they benefit from like prep schools and tutors, and they go to these great schools, and they get a chance to really explore their passions and pursuits, and they get to be creative. They don't have to take the first job out of college, or if they're unemployed, they don't have to take the first job that's offered to them because they have these safety nets. So Andrew Yang wants to create a safety net. Is this enough for you to vote for him, Evan?
This alone, no. Also,
he's the only candidate talking about it.
Yeah, he is, but there's other issues that need to be discussed. And I haven't heard him talk much about, has he really ever addressed race much? Because
No.
I haven't heard him talk about that. I haven't heard, look.
He's not very good on it at all.
Yeah, he's not.
And immigration, it kind of
he's
sounds
horrible on that.
It sounds like he is really trying to be almost a single issue candidate to really run on this, and he thinks, people will like free money. I agree with you, Stanley, that this isn't going to be enough when automation starts. The question is, if we're just talking about his policy, are we better off if this is the policy on the table? Are we better off with this than not having it? And I think that if there were adjustments like the ones I suggested earlier, I think yes. If it is going through as is with people losing public assistance, as opposed either having to choose between public assistance or that $1,000, then I agree with you, and I think the answer is no.
Well, we actually do have to start to bring this conversation to a close. But before we do, I want to just ask you guys this. You know, if Andrew Yang's proposal is either problematic or not something that you feel like you can stand fully behind, then what is it that you want to see from a candidate to really solve economic inequality? That's the topic here. It's when it comes to economic inequality. And also, Stanley made up a good point. Robots are taking jobs from workers. Matter of fact, truck drivers are going to be losing their jobs very soon. And I think truck drivers are the most employed people in a number of states across the country. So that's going to be a huge economic imbalance if you have all these people losing their jobs as truck drivers. So, Stanley, what is the solution?
Reparations. Because you give black folks reparations easily, all black folks too, and you will help to stimulate the economy in a way you haven't done before, and then also make the rich pay their fair share. They just are not. We can have a country where we have universal basic income, and we also have a housing guarantee. And those two things might help to mitigate some of the stress that we have. You do those two things plus reparations, you're heading in the right direction.
Evan, what do you say is the solution here? And what do you want from a candidate?
I agree 100% with Stanley. I think, look, if we're talking about basic income, reparations is what's needed most to the communities who need it most, to the people who have been wronged by this country the most. So I think how that looks and how that will pass actually in Congress, I think certainly is an uphill battle. I know there are many ways that ideally it could be, for example, like an automatic college fund. For example, some sort of calculation that will always be imperfect, but will try to assess something that could help uplift a community that's been oppressed in this country. But I do think that's where it starts.
Well, I'll say this, just to be the silver lining here or just that spark of light and hope, I'm happy that we have serious Democratic candidates talking about programs and initiatives, this quote-unquote radical. Like, this is a really good start where you have someone who's in the running. And the reason why Andrew Yang is still actually in the running is because he's pushing this free money, freedom dividend. It's something that has not been seriously discussed in this nation for years. and it's something that I think we definitely need to revisit. I do think there are some kinks that need to be worked out, but I'm happy that we have a candidate that's so futuristic and who's thinking about what's going to happen when everyone loses their jobs. These old, I don't want to say old fashioned, but a lot of these jobs are becoming antiquated because of the tech boom, and we need someone who's forward thinking. Andrew Yang has built a number of businesses inside and outside of Silicon Valley, and I think that he's the person who to me, when it comes to job creation, he's the one who can think about it in a way that will be most progressive for our country. Now, I'm not saying that I'm voting for him in a Democratic primary,
Sounds
but
like
I like a lot of things that he's pushing. I'm happy that he's putting this conversation in national discourse, and I think it's something that we should definitely explore. On that note, I mean, again, guys, make sure you're paying attention. The Democratic primary is literally right around the corner. We are weeks away from 2020. Things are getting heated up, and the future of this country is in our hands. So if you are someone who cares about college tuition, or cares about, you feel like you're under so much student debt and you have a heavy burden, you feel like, you can't afford housing, you can't afford different things, then pay attention, because this is why politics matter. And this is why it's so important for us to stay civically engaged in this political process so that we can vote in a candidate that's really going to speak for us and make decisions in our best interests. On that note, we do have to say goodbye for now, but we appreciate everyone who tuned in via Facebook Live. We appreciate our callers as well, and we appreciate everyone who is listening in the podcast community. We will see you again next week. This is Let Your Voice Be Heard.